I'm hungry.
The Pacific Ocean's powerful life force, now in a Ziploc for your eating pleasure. From the shores of Kailua Kona comes KAIMANA brand honey-glazed ahi tuna jerky. Seasoned with natural ingredients, this wild-caught fish is dried to perfection, but left just a little bit moist and slathered with a wet, delicious honey sauce. Handcrafted with aloha for 25 years.
My time will be your time, and yours will be my. And my troubles are tiny bubbles, they float away in a wiki wiki wow. Hello Hawaii, can I come over, I'm a honey from the mainland, looking for a new amor, aloha.
You know, the man upstairs and I really need to have a conversation and reinstitute our working relationship because I can't keep doing this. KAIMANA ahi tuna jerky, honey glazed. Before I ingest this, I just have to address the divinity crate. For the past 150 or so episodes, I've been getting food regularly from the divinity crate, and it has been a pretty damn good service up to now. But lately, you may have noticed that I've had to lean harder and harder on my secondary suppliers to come up with stuff because the divinity crate fails me. What the hell happened at their factory? What, are they modernizing, and by doing that, are they sticking it to the customer like so many businesses do nowadays? I bet you a lot of the stuff that they used to do by hand and like meticulously track, they're now doing by computer. And computers, people think they're infallible, but they make mistakes all the time. I bet you down at the Divinity Crate Central Hub, they laid off all the hired gods, and there's just one guy working at the factory now, some guy named Ratso, let's just say. And he's holding a list, or maybe because of modernization, he's got like an iPad or something. He's scrolling through that iPad and he's saying to himself, DJ Clive's delivery didn't go out this week. I wonder what happened. Maybe there was faulty data? Maybe there was a problem like on the assembly line and his order got stuck on the chute in the machinations of the machine? Oh well, there's always next week, I guess. I really have to get a hold of the man upstairs. Maybe I should pray to him. Maybe I should belittle myself to him. He seems to like that. But I can't keep dealing with this nuisance. And maybe, just maybe, his taste would be a little bit better than this. So who gave me this item? If Limbo Grub had an overflowing, beating heart, this secondary supplier would be near and dear to it. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Mocha's parents. Hey Mocha, did you see? That's your human character supplying this particular item. How does that make you feel? What? No! You can't leave! With Jello gone, this is gonna screw up that crucial three-dog interplay! Well, I can't force you to stay, I guess. Will we ever see you again? Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Mocha, everybody! Mocha! You want to take a bow? Well, that happened. Hey, wait a minute. How is Mocha leaving here? Is there a way out? Maybe I should... I can't ask her. She's already gone. Well, she did say she might come back for a cameo, so hopefully if that day ever comes, I'll just have to pick her brain a bit. Wouldn't it be great if I could finally get out of here and ascend to the real world and mingle with the masses? Alright, let's just get through this. You know, normally when I eat an item such as this, I am filled with dread. I am literally overflowing, filled to the brim. Like, if dread could be some kind of, like, liquid, I would imagine the liquid would be red and fizzing. It would be, like, all the way up, almost overflowing out my mouth. I would be so filled with that dread. But, to be honest, there are a lot of positives going into this. Number one, this food item here is from Hawaii. Yeah, and Hawaii is known for its exquisite cuisines and like some of the best food in the world. But then again, that Oishi fish da stuff that I had was from Hawaii. That marlin jerky that I ate was from Hawaii. That canned cuttlefish, some of the worst fish that I've ever had on this show, was from Hawaii. So, the fact that it's from Hawaii doesn't mean a lick of difference. Number 2, it's tuna. Now, the whole idea of tuna jerky, you might think, like, if you were to tear this thing open, it would just fill your house with gray musk, like a disgusting diseased gray cloud. You might even see like little radioactive and biohazard symbols just floating around in the air. You have to pinch your nose while you eat it. But to be honest, if you go back and you watch past episodes of Limbo Grub, you'll see that tuna items have a pretty damn good track record. So maybe you have something to look forward to there. And number 3, it's honey glazed. Normally, when I review a jerky product on this here show, I rail on it, especially those Buffalo Bob products. If they're adding all sorts of foreign elements on top of it and mucking up the taste of the actual meat. The meat is what I'm here for. Usually it's some kind of spices, maybe it's a teriyaki flavor or a hickory flavor. They're throwing all sorts of weird flavors on it. You're tasting those flavors, you're not tasting the meat. The meat is nothing more than a texture. With those Buffalo Bob things, that was another story altogether because you want to try these weird exotic animals. You want to know what they taste like. They throw beef on top of that, like not just a little bit, but a big slab of beef. You're eating mostly beef, and just a tiny little thimbleful of that creature, it just completely blows the whole experience. But with this, with tuna jerky, I don't think I want to be tasting that meat. So there's got to be something in there to muck it up. Well, time to de-virginize the package and see if it fills the room with all sorts of biohazard symbols and radioactive symbols, like I said. Very close, very close. You know what this smells like? It smells like somebody just had some regular Jack Link's jerky and they walked into a seafood place where they sell fresh seafood and he walked behind the counter and accidentally dropped it, and then some worker came by who's been trudging through fish guts all day and he just goes... It smells like 1/3 beef, 1/3 tuna, and 1/3 shoe. And it's very, very sticky to the touch. I mean, this might be the first jerky that I've ever had on the show where you actually might need a napkin, or maybe even a fork. All right, enough blabbing, I'm only delaying the inevitable. This is pretty good. Don't taste like fish at all. Tastes mainly like beef jerky and honey on top of that. Which, I like that taste, I like it very much. I can say if you gave this to somebody, you didn't tell him what it was, he puts it into his mouth, starts chewing, he's gonna think that it's just really bad beef jerky because every once in a while, he's gonna get hit with like a tiny little squirt of that tuna flavor. But if you go into it knowing what it is, which most people are, this is a big score. Because that squirt of tuna taste is so minute, it's so... You like really have to dwell on it just to even recognize that it's there. Mostly it just tastes like a soft beef jerky, and that's another thing that this thing has over most other beef jerkies that I've tried. It's the texture of it. I knew it was going to be moist when I pulled it out because it was so slimy and disgusting and wet, but to me this is the perfect texture. Like literally it is balancing on the edge of a knife. This is what you want beef jerky to be. It's not so dry like that Aki stuff that I had was like chewing on rope. And it's not overly wet like that Jack Link's turkey jerky that they make in the green bag. I mean, you look at the bag, you could see like the wetness just pushing up against the plastic. I hate that in jerky. This just, it's the perfect balance and I can't applaud it enough for that. The only thing I have to dock points for is the sliminess of them. I mean, I guess that's the price you have to pay for they being the perfect texture in your mouth. But when you eat these things, I mean, you even saw just there, it stuck to my finger before I even dropped into the bag. You are going to have to go and wash your hands after this because you can't go through your day with this sticky film all over your fingers. You might even look and see like little dots and like little tiny pieces of the jerky, little spices stuck to your fingers. Nobody wants that. You're just gonna have to go wash your hands immediately. It really affects your day that way. So if I'm gonna give this a star rating, I'm gonna rate it pretty high. I'm gonna rate it 4 stars. This was an amazing surprise. Blew my freaking mind. Just to let you in on a little bit of behind the scenes dirt on this here show, I went into this particular episode with an anecdote that I thought would be applicable to this item. When I was a kid, we used to own boring fish. Like any of the most basic fish that you could put in a tank, we had. We had black angelfish, we had catfish, we just had boring gray fish, and we wanted to kind of like liven up the tank a little bit. So we went to this place called Fin and Feather. I don't even know if it still exists anymore, and we're looking around. The fish section was always very elaborate, very ornate. They had this whole section that was just like in black light, and all the fish just like, gave off like this iridescent glow. And they had these fish called neons. I don't know how much you're into fish or anything like that, but neons are tiny, tiny little fish that are just like ribbons of color, and they just glow in the dark. And of course they wouldn't look that great without the black light, and we didn't know that at the time, but we grabbed a couple of them and we're like, hey, we're gonna, you know, freshen up this tank, make it look a little bit more, you know, lively, and, you know, add a little bit of color to it. So we add all these neons into the tank there, and our evil angelfish just almost like their demeanor seemed to change when they locked eyes with these things, and all of a sudden, one by one, all these neon fish, we watched them all get eaten alive. It was disturbing. It was like a war scene. Just one by one, these angelfish were eating these neons, and after eating every one, they would go, and you'd see neon dust and like all the remnants, I guess all the chewed up bones and all the stuff that they didn't want to swallow, just turn into this giant sickening brown cloud. After every neon went down, you just see. And I thought after eating this, I would be going. But happily with this, that was not the case. It's your good buddy DJ Clive saying, until next time, I'll see you in Limbo. Or maybe not. Maybe by next week, I'll have figured out a way out of here.